I started seeing everything popping up with my recommendations and everything, and that's when I
Right.
realized like this isn't a joke. Like this person just cried on camera and got 1 million views, like expressing themselves, and there's like no judgment. They're just being themselves over characters they love, and I'm just like, yo, like this is amazing. Like they can talk about what they love,
Yeah.
and that's when I realized like I don't really have to be kind of afraid to put my thoughts out there, or to be emotional, or just energetic on camera. Like
Yeah.
these people are doing it and they seem confident in what they're doing. So what do I got to be afraid of? So that's when I started, trying to be a little more aggressive with posting episode reactions.
Three, two, one.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reactorverse Podcast, brought to you by Passionfruit. I'm joined today by a longtime collaborator and someone I really admire in the space. It is BizzyBron. Bizzy, thank you for being here.
Oh man, I'm excited. I remember you talking about, this potentially happening in the future, like just talking to all these reactors and to see how far it's kind of came. It's been really cool to kind of watch it from the sidelines. Like, so I'm happy with how it's turned out.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's I've been wanting to get you on for a while now. Just obviously, I think because of your presence in the space, you're kind of one of the faces I think of when I think of the reaction space. Honestly, it's just because you're
Got me
sort of
blushing
everywhere.
over here. Appreciate it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when I first started, I mean, I didn't know if that's where I was gonna end up, how that was gonna go. I remember seeing all these big reactors like the Normies, Blind Wave, Chainsaw Reacts, just all these familiar faces, and to be able to, be familiar with some of them now, and like Chainsaw, for an example, to be able to call him a friend, it's really crazy to see how kind of tight knit this reaction community is.
Yeah,
So
of course.
it's one thing that I do like a lot, and to be able to kind of, there's been people that have asked me for help and all this stuff. It's like we've really gone far as a community, and it's been really cool.
Yeah. I definitely want to dissect like all of that because it's such an important aspect of like what makes this sort of space really special is the community, as you said. But I want to start from the beginning, as we always do. And for yourself, I just want to ask, the channel name itself. I like to ask people, where did the name BizzyBron come from?
Dude, it's like, sometimes it's kind of personal, but at the same time, it really is just from nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I try to make sure I put this out there. Like, I am a big casual when it comes to a lot of movies and stuff like that. Like, in the last few years, I've watched so much, so I've been making my way to like being familiar with some of these great movies and all that stuff. But as of like 10 years ago, that's when I first started that's when I first started watching TV, like in general. Never
Right.
did any of that prior to that. I was a big like sports guy. Like all I did was play sports, all of that. And so like LeBron, all that
Yeah.
nonsense. I remember I had a coach of mine who would always like play against us just to kind of like torment us at sometimes. And every time he would score on us, he would just make a joke like, "Oh, I'm getting busy. I'm BizzyBron," like just something corny like that. It wasn't really that serious, but after he would like, make a fool of us, he would just say something like that. And it was just a name that I thought was like really funny. So I just kind of made it my gamer tag. And then when I needed a YouTube name, I was like, I'm not going to just use my name. Let's try to make something a little more fancy.
Right.
So I used BizzyBron because I started off as a gaming channel.
Mhm.
And so I was like, why not use my gamer tag?
Yeah.
And so it really isn't that deep, but it's that's just how it came out.
Yeah, it's a common thread. I think people have,
Yeah.
the old usernames that we have growing up. We're like, I'll just stick with that, and,
Yeah.
and then it becomes your whole brand in the
Honestly,
future.
because like my first username I think was like PaulyD65.
Right.
And I was not keeping that. So
Yeah.
we ended up branching out to something else, but
Right.
that's where we are now.
Yeah. And you mentioned, starting with the gaming channel, and that whole aspect before reactions. Were you familiar sort of with like the YouTube space, sort of as a sort of a platform by the time you got started, like in terms of like, were you following any other channels? Were you sort of inspired by anything else, before you got started?
The thing is, I wasn't really watching a lot of content. the stuff I was watching is like, because I started getting into television and stuff when I was like 15, 16. So I started getting really into it. So I was watching, a majority of the channels I was watching was like Emergency Awesome, or Boba, like what the different channels that were talking about shows, not necessarily reacting to
Right.
stuff like that, and like stuff talking about leaks and stuff like that. But
Right.
I was familiar with some creators, but when I started doing the gaming channel, I was doing that for like 3 years when I was like in high school. Didn't do well, and I took like a year off, and then right when I got out of high school, I was like, you know what, like I really want to be on YouTube. And at this point, I'm in college, I'm working. I kind of want to do something on the side that I can enjoy. And since I don't really talk to anybody about the shows I watch, I see that people are, reacting or watching shows and recording themselves, and it seems to do well. My brother, like, I walked in on him and I see him watching, I think it was like Animation, or I forget who it was, or Blind Wave. They were just watching
Right.
anime, and he was just there for hours watching them. And
Mm.
he was actually invested. And for me, that just was a little weird for me to me at the time. I didn't understand it. And then I just went into a whole rabbit hole and started
Yeah.
seeing, like, people watching television and people so engaged into it and just talking about their experience watching these shows. So I was like, you know what, like I really want to be out there. So why not, talk about something that I enjoy, such as television. So I started off with reviews and then branched out to reactions. And since I was a little more familiar with how that kind of worked out, I started, doing more and more with it. I wasn't familiar with the rules at the time, so my
Mhm.
first video got blocked hard. But as time went on, I started, understanding the copyright rules and just what the cans and can'ts of this little thing. But it kind of
Right.
worked out at the end, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause you started with trailers primarily. It's sort of like the
Hmm.
first stepping stone for a lot of reactors. It's
Yeah.
going through that sort of phase of just trailers. And then as you progressed, you eventually dipped into like reviews, and then sort of like the early TV show reactions. Was there a learning curve that was sort of like a stepping stone for yourself in terms of trying to figure out how do I evolve this platform for myself?
Yeah, because I didn't really start with shows until like a year being into the reacting space. I was doing reviews and reactions for trailers primarily, and there was a point where literally anytime a trailer, whether it was for like whatever it was for, fan made, whatever, I would react to anything I could get my hands on,
Mhm.
just so I could just try to get some numbers out there and get people more familiar with who I was.
Right.
And yeah, so that's what I was doing for a long time. So I didn't realize that, you know, um sometimes you got to go a little more with what's kind of popping at the time.
Mhm.
And like I said, I was a huge Walking Dead fan, so I decided, who knows, why don't I try to watch the newest episode of The Walking Dead? And that's when I finally decided to edit a reaction. I did it for The Flash as well, and that's
Right.
when I started seeing a little bit of a numbers increase, because at the time not everyone was reacting to it at the same time. I was trying my best to be the first one to get it out, so I started seeing a little bit of an increase there than just watching a random video,
Yeah.
online, because I mean, people are going to want to see what just kind of what's happening in the now instead
Right.
of a video that came out 10 years ago. I mean, why the hell would I think that was a good idea? I don't know, but it kind of worked out at the end. So that's just where I realized that the shows were kind of where to go.
Mhm.
And as I started, getting more subs, people started to just care what I had to say. They didn't care if I was reacting to it. If I made a review for something, they were listening. And that's when I started realizing you got to start somewhere and kind of just grow from that point on. So it kind of worked out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because The Walking Dead was such a huge catalyst for the reaction space at that
Yeah.
time in terms of getting people into sort of TV show reactions. That and Game of Thrones had a big
Yeah.
hand to play in that. Were you aware of like how big The Walking Dead reaction space was when you were starting to dabble in that?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I didn't really know too much about it. I think I started off with, I think one of my first reviews, it was for season 9. And
Mhm.
then I think when episode 5 of season 9 came out, which was Andrew Lincoln's last episode, I started seeing everything popping up in my recommendations and everything, and that's when I
Right,
realized, like, this isn't a joke. Like, this person just cried on camera and got 1 million views. Like, that's
right,
crazy. Like, they're like going, expressing themselves, and there's like no judgment. They're just being themselves over characters they love, and I'm just like, yo, like this is amazing. Like, they can talk about what they love, and yeah, there's gonna be some dickheads that criticize them, but at the end of the day, it's not too bad. I mean, there's
mhm,
a majority of the people there are just there for the ride.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized like I don't really have to be kind of afraid to put my thoughts out there, or to be emotional, or just energetic on camera. Like,
Yeah.
these people are doing it and they seem confident in what they're doing. So what do I got to be afraid of? So that's when I started, trying to be a little more aggressive with posting episode reactions.
Right.
And that's when I started seeing the an upgrade in my views and everything like that.
Right. And then eventually you got picked up, as a lot of people did at that time, for the Skybound compilations.
Oh my God.
By Johnny Odell, getting yourself in there. And that's I've talked to Four Core TV about that and stuff like that. It's just that transition of being put into those compilations is sort of a impactful experience, because it sort of shows you a sort of tangible view that you are part of the space, you're among
Yes.
peers of yourself. Do you remember what it sort of felt like to be in that sort of zone once you got put in there?
I do. I felt like I just got drafted in the top 10. Like, I felt like to be able to be included with some of those, people that I was constantly, like, there was a point where when I started posting reactions, I would watch other reactions to be like, okay, is there something that I'm doing wrong? Is there, how long am I supposed to put in clips? Like, what am I supposed to do? And so, like, there was a lot of, like, the reactions that I would search, there was only like a handful of people that would pop up right away. So it was clear, like, who was kind of on top, and, to be able to see a video with me and that I didn't put together of,
Right.
a bunch of people that I've been, like, kind of taking notes off of and just doing all that stuff. It was crazy to imagine myself in the same conversation, if you will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty nuts, because I remember I searched my name up on YouTube just for the hell of it one day, and I just saw, like, another video pop up, and I'm like, why is that video popping up? Like, that's not, but I was like, you know what? It's a Walking Dead video. Let's watch it.
Yeah.
And then I see, like, my face, I see me in the description, and I'm just like this didn't feel real, considering
Right.
The Walking Dead is, like, my show. It's my favorite show, so it was just one of those things that kind of had me, um, I don't know. It was crazy. I don't know how my language is supposed to be on this, but I'm trying my best to simmer it down a little bit. But
Yeah,
it had me on the edge. I'll say that.
Yeah, you can let it fly. It's okay. Yeah, because a shout out to Johnny Odell, who's still doing it, on his own channel
Nice,
now,
great. It's
J2O,
great.
and like he puts in the work to really bring you all together to build a cohesive sort of space for that. But you came in as a sort of unique time around 2017, 2018, going into 2019 and so on, when the large fandoms that a lot of people were covering were sort of having their own sort of shifts. Star Wars, was taking, I think, a few hits post 2018 because of Last Jedi, as we all know. The MCU was hyping up because we're getting closer to Infinity War and Endgame. Do you recall sort of what it felt like to engage with those fandoms at that time? Because you were now sort of on camera presence. Did that change your relationship with them?
So the thing is, I mean, I felt like when I was in high school, I felt like I was the go-to guy. People would always come to me asking me questions like, okay, well, is this character like this in the comics? Is this character like this? So it's like, to be able to kind of talk more and express myself just on camera instead of just to a kind of a small knitted group in person. It was pretty cool. Obviously, some opinions don't fly. I mean, a lot of people are very, they're very vocal, to say kindly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I found it a little more difficult, not necessarily with kind of interacting with those fan bases, but knowing what people wanted for me to post. Because there would be videos that I would put so much work in that I'm like, yo, this is going to be a bop. And then it does terrible. Then there's videos where I'm like, you know what, like, it'd be cool to talk about this. Let me whip something up in 10 minutes. Like, it was instant rice, something I didn't put any effort into. And immediately, like, I think it's one of my top rated videos. I was just like, oh, who was that cameo at the end of Endgame? And, just little things like that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I think everyone was on edge due to the transitions. So some of the people were a little more aggressive. And I think I kind of toyed with people just to kind of get a little more views at the same time. Like, I think there was a clip in Family Guy where they were talking about Infinity War, and I think Joe and Cleveland ended up disappearing because of the Thanos snap.
Right.
And so I made a whole theory, like 4 minute video talking about how Stewie's gonna be in how he's gonna be in Endgame. And the like so much of the community didn't finish the video, so they thought I was so serious. And they were coming at my neck. And I'm like, bro, just finish the video. You can see that I'm joking, but like
Yeah.
it was just like everyone was on edge at that point. There was just so much going on. Like pop culture was booming at that time, you know. So there was
Yeah.
just a lot of different things. Some of the, again, a lot of the fans were extremely kind. A lot of people were like, "Oh, welcome to the community. It's really cool to see you, making videos like this." But at the same time, there was some people that were, a little aggressive,
A
But
little
I think I
quick.
just had fun being able to kind of handle both sides of it. I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I was getting babied. I felt like I was getting just the perfect amount of toxicity to become the creator I am today.
Right.
So it was
Yeah.
just it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
I think a little toxicity builds character. So I was fine with it. I was fine with it.
Yeah, it's a trial by fire. I think that a lot
Yes.
of people go through for that. Yeah. And having that, yeah, the sort of variety in your work has been something I think, a staple of yours from the beginning. You also did sketches early on, with a lot with your mom as
Yeah.
well, which were great. I guess, how do you sort of balance that variety and that sort of itch to be creative all around, on the channel, not just doing the reactions that we all know and love, but like, trying to find other outlets for yourself?
So, realistically, I mean, I was just always taught, like, my mom wasn't shy when it came to, like, trying to be creative. So I wasn't always, like, shy when it came to that. But I was always told, like, if I'm gonna post stuff on my channel, post what I want.
Hmm.
Don't feel pressured by people, post what you want. But then, you can do that, but at the same time, you got to be careful. The algorithm's no joke. The algorithm be like playing with your emotions sometimes. So it's like 1 minute you're like, okay, this is gonna be good, but if it's not what other people are familiar with on your channel, it's gonna bomb sometimes, unfortunately. So it's just that it was one thing that I tried to do vlogs, I tried to do skits, I tried to do reactions, reviews, gaming videos all at the same time, and I just felt like my energy was just kind of like just collapsing at the same time. But at the end of the day, when I get that little urge, I won't hesitate to do it. I'll still try to go out there and because if so that makes me happy to do, I'm gonna end up doing it.
Right.
But I did kind of shy away from those due to the fact that I found myself at a point where I was like, I don't even know what I want to do with this like long term. I just want to have fun. That's the goal. And to see myself kind of improving, actually seeing some monetization from this, it felt unreal.
Right.
And that's when I realized I feel like I'm taking this too seriously. And I kind of went back to just solely reactions and gaming
Hmm.
because that's just what I did on my free time. I watched TV and I played video games.
Yeah.
So it was just, I found myself more at ease just turning on a camera, watching TV, and then just having to talk about it at the end of it. So I felt a little more calm doing that instead of constantly throwing out sketches or vlogs that I feel like I put so much time and energy into
Hmm.
just for the algorithm to drop it at like 100 views.
Right.
So I
Right.
had to I had to figure out what my niche was, and it took some
Yeah.
time.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in this era now, I think the gaming aspect is such a second hand that people have with their channel. It's usually
Mhm.
like reactions go hand in hand with gaming. They usually have Twitch channels or like gaming channels to go along with that. Do you feel like that's enough of an outlet for you at this point, to to have that balance of like an outlet to step away from the reactions and just have another platform to sort of share yourself with?
See, yeah, that's the thing. I do have some other platforms that I've just solely put like gaming on or whatever, but I've tend to realize that the people that are in those gaming videos or watching the gaming lives, whatever, those are people that have been supporting me on these reactions for like quite some time. So
Hmm.
although they're here to watch me with those those videos or the gaming or whatever, they're here to talk about the shows at the end of the
Right.
day. So I feel like at this point I'm kind of like a one trick pony. So like people and I'm fine with that. I love being able to talk about these shows, but at the end of the day, having that channel where I'm solely playing video games makes me feel cool. I'm happy. I'm excited
Yeah.
because even though they know that I'm going to be talking about shows, they know I'm there to just play games and do
Right.
what I want to do. So at the end of the day, I'm content. I'm content because
Yeah.
they know, and I'm able to grow. There are some other people that are just joining the channel and they don't realize that I have a whole reaction channel. They're like, "Oh wait, you aren't just on TikTok or you're not just on this. You do this too." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I do that as well." So it's just pretty cool to do more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And because yeah, I think I feel that in the way where your work eventually becomes like sort of like your main subject matter in your life. When you go to speak with people and friends, it's kind of like that rule that some people have, like, oh, let's not talk about work when we're out, having dinner. But then eventually it comes up. Eventually comes up, like,
Yeah,
can't not
yeah.
talk about what happened on this week's episode of House of the Dragon or whatever. It's
Not for
that's the
real.
space that we live in. Um,
Yeah.
but within the space though, you've like I said earlier, you've just had such a enigmatic presence that I've seen in the way where you appear in so many people's collaborative videos, stuff like that. You're on John Knight's huge trivia game
Oh
that
man,
he
that was a
had
blast.
several
Yeah.
times, things like that, stuff like that. How do you sort of take that in terms of like applying it to your presence in the space and just knowing that you have those peers to sort of visit and work with, and how that sort of impacts your tenure here?
To be honest, I mean, it's been really cool to kind of just have people that I know I can ask questions if I need it, and it's just been even cooler to know that I'm now the person that people ask, when they have questions, it's just, and I first kind of met all these reactors due to John, when we had like the reactor con. I don't know if you remember that, quite some time
Mhm.
ago.
Right.
I ended up kind of branching out and meeting some creators that way. And then when John ended up doing the trivia, I ended up meeting so many more reactors, and then when we ended up doing like the third or fourth trivia, since I ended up winning the previous ones, I got to like do a whole draft pick. So
Right.
I got to communicate with a lot of these reactors and just, and some of them I still talk to, some of them we still make, collaborative videos with. Some of them, like for an example, like me, Omni Media, and Matthew V. Haynes, we would do like an annual like Cobra Kai chat. We haven't done it in a little bit, but we did it for I think like 2 or 3 years straight, and it was just really cool to just kick back and just not have to rely on myself
Right.
because I love watching group reactors. I think it's so much fun,
Mhm.
but with me, it's like I feel like it's so much more difficult because I'm constantly having to talk to myself, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm just like I feel like some people are over here just thinking I'm nuts because I'm over here asking myself questions and then answering those questions because I feel like I have to have something to say, or
Yeah.
there's just nothing, no content there. So it's
Yeah.
just become a habit. But branching out with these other creators has made things, so easier for me. I've been doing group reactions and it's been really cool to have or meet these other people that are like me. You know what I'm saying? Like they know what it's like to have this camera. They know what the pressure is when it comes to the algorithm or not succeeding when it comes to views. They have good advice when it comes to just taking it easy and not relying on things like that. I mean, it's made it so much easier as a creator having just to know these people, and
Yeah.
it's made things just a lot easier as a creator. And I truly appreciate everyone that I've
Of course.
interacted with in this space
Right.
for sure,
Yeah,
including you,
because I
friend.
know. Yeah, I've seen you. Yeah, you're pretty regular on Chainsaw Reacts. Council of
Yeah, yeah,
Creators
yeah.
on there, and that's such a great idea. I had him on, a couple weeks ago to talk about that, and it's just a fantastic idea to bring people together in that sense to again to share the insight and the sort of same trials that you guys go through to overcome, because like it really does affect everyone. Like the same sort of issues that one faces, it kind of like spreads out and hits everyone. Almost regardless of how big they are or how small they are, it's like you have the sort of same obstacles. But as say about 2019, a few years into your time with the channel, where we eventually get into the pandemic, how did that experience go for you in terms of like managing the channel? Obviously, all the changes in the algorithm and like people being at home, but also like we just said, having the connection to people still. The sort of friends and peers that you had made over the years, and being able to still keep in contact with them when people were feeling so isolated.
So the thing is, I started my channel late 2018, and then I started getting more serious about it late 2019. And so and then right when like Corona started, I was still doing things kind of by myself. And I think I met everyone during it. Like I think, like I said, the Reactor Con is when I ended up meeting everyone, and I think that happened due to COVID.
Mhm.
So COVID sucked. There's nothing else to say about that. But at the end of the
Right.
day, it was a reason why I was able to meet all of these creators. I was able to chat with all these creators. And at the end of the day, it did make things a lot easier for me as a creator. So
Yeah.
yeah, again, screw COVID, but thank you for, introducing me to all these people.
Right.
But yeah, it it gave me more time because again, I was in college at the time and they literally just dropped everything. We're like, oh yeah, about that. You guys are going home. We're doing everything at the house. So it's like, gave me more time to just make more content, kind of expand my channel because I'd knock out my homework, knock out what I needed to do. And like the teachers didn't really know what they were doing at the time. So we didn't really have a lot of homework. So I had more time to focus on, YouTube and stuff. So I think it gave me a little bit of a boost, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people ended up, deciding, hey, like this is the perfect time to start a channel.
Right.
And I felt it, it was a time where just channels were popping up left and right. And it was cool to see. It really was, but it was like a crazy time. It really was. It was just such a crazy time because everyone was coming out wanting to do this, wanting to know how to do it. And I feel like I met some more people that way because they were like, hey, I want to start a channel, but I don't know where to start. And I'm like, well, I can try to help you. So it's like, I don't know. It was definitely a really weird time. But since I'm doing everything out of my house anyways, due to YouTube and all that, it wasn't too difficult. It just gave me more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right, though. It was like that was the next boom that we had in the space, which is just the pandemic babies, as we call them.
Yeah.
To just like the people that come out and like they start because they have the time and sort of the lack of means to explore other outlets. Do you recall sort of the shift in the space in terms of the content itself? Because at the same time, 2020 going 2021, we get into the sort of like real height of the streaming wars with like all the Disney Plus shows coming out and everything, and that's when things get like really hairy because like then we start have also the HBO Max movies coming out, and so there's just a flood of like things to watch and how you sort of manage watching things day of or like right away or like just spreading it out over a schedule. Do you remember like sort of like that approach to it?
Yeah, so I mean, there was a lot of waking up at 3 a.m. I know that. With the streaming services, it really kind of like messed me up because I went from like staying up throughout the night to watch something that, say, Game of Thrones, dropping at 9 o'clock, but I wouldn't be able to find a downloadable version of it until like 12 or 1 in the morning, and then I wouldn't be finished editing it until like 5 or 6 in the morning. It was the whole thing. And then with the streaming services, I realized I could screen record. Who knew that you could do that? And it just, it started making things a lot easier with that. But I feel like I'm feeling a lot of the repercussions now when it comes to all that because a lot of these movies I was watching when they were released on streaming, such as Dune or the Godzilla movies.
Right.
I caught up on the Godzilla movies and watched them and reacted to them. And I did the same thing. I reacted to Dune. And Dune 2 just came out, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I reacted to the first one. I really want to see the second one in the theater. Like, people are gassing it up, but at the same time, it just feels like one of those things I really want to react to. So now I'm in this position where I got to make my mind, like, what I want to do. So I still haven't seen the movie. We're going to wait.
You're gonna wait
same thing goes with, like, Godzilla X Kong. So I feel like it was one of those things that really kind of, I didn't really think of at the time, like, oh, how is this going to affect me later on? But it just gave me a lot of different options at that point, like, because everyone was reacting to it. So, like, it made things a little difficult because I would have to be, like, the first person to drop the reaction in order for it to get some views. Or everyone and their sister would drop a reaction for it, and then I'd be late to the party, and it wouldn't work out.
Right, yeah.
But it was just, it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen other channels do it, some of them hold off the theater experience for the reaction sake of things for the channel. And I know I've spoken to Serge about it from the normies, and he was saying like sometimes you're just like, I gotta see it in theaters, Dune, I just gotta see it there. I can't wait. So I respect you and everyone else who has the patience to do so, because I enjoy this. I enjoy the movie reactions. I think that was such a big thing in the pandemic era, which is people understanding and breaking through that barrier of what movie reactions can do for you and for your channel, because the TV show reactions, as they were, lucrative for a long time, I think people understood that movie reactions are super helpful because they're a quantifiable experience. From beginning to end what that sort of experience is. It's not like the same as an episode where you think like, what happened in this episode? Is this the one where, someone dies or like, something happens? A movie, the whole thing. And so for you, can you describe sort of what the difference is in terms of like watching, taking in, editing, and putting out a movie reaction compared to like a TV show reaction? So,
honestly, it just comes down to editing for me. Like, I can be patient if I need to be, so I don't mind watching the entire movie. The only one that I really had trouble with was sitting through the 4 hour, cut of Lord of the Rings. But the movie was great, so it didn't kill me at the end of it.
Yeah.
But realistically, it comes down to editing. I feel like the way I edit some things are a little more complicated, with the green screen, and then, it's just a little weird sometimes. But for a TV show, it can take me over an hour to get the edit done. But for a movie, when it's like over 2 hours or something, I can be in this chair for like 6 hours trying to get it done. So it's like,
Yeah.
depending on how I'm feeling patience wise, it can kill you. It's all about the editing, because just not knowing how the video is gonna do, that can slow you down. But yeah, the difference between that for me is primarily the editing, because there will be some franchises that, like, again, I'm kind of like a casual. There's some things that I haven't seen, such as Scream. I haven't seen that. There's been a lot of big franchises, and people are like, you gotta react to it, you gotta react to it. But it's like, I gotta react to 7 movies, edit those movies.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't want to edit one and then just post it, because I don't know if I'll be able to get to the second one right away. So it just comes down to just so many different things. Whereas television shows, if you're getting them weekly, it's easier to dish them out. You got one at a time, 45 minutes. It's light work. But the editing is the one thing that's always kicked my butt when it comes to this reaction thing, for sure.
I can imagine. Yeah. I mean, of course, as an editor, I totally empathize with the work that goes into that, as I've done several reactions myself. But eventually, though, as we started come out a few years within the pandemic, the dust sort of settles on these things, and we begin to see, again, the sort of shift in the way content is rolled out for you guys. Now, it's no longer... for Disney Plus, at least, no longer the midnight drops, like they're trying to push it back to the 9 p.m., the prime time stuff that helps you guys out a little bit, I think. But now there's the sort of balance between the binge model that some platforms have and the weekly release model. And right now there is such again, at the end of like February, early March, we had that sort of flux with things like the Bad Batch, the live action Avatar series coming out, Halo, stuff like that. So many shows that come out, and you had to sort of balance, like, how do I approach this in terms of a schedule? Do you have any sort of strategies in terms of approaching things when you have that mix of binge material and weekly releases?
It's really hard, because I've really like tried to switch things up. I work a lot besides YouTube. I work a lot on my own. I just got a new job, so my schedule's going to be a lot, more tame. But at the end of the day, it's like just trying to find the time to react to this stuff. So I found it easier to react to things, that are coming out weekly, of course, because, you have more time to do things, and you don't have to worry about it. But the things that are coming out all at once, there's been days where I literally will like plan 2 weeks ahead and let my work know I'm not coming in this day. I won't be able to make it Friday. I won't be able to make it Thursday. I got some stuff I got to handle. Yeah. And I'll try to get as many reactions as I can get done. But unfortunately, with some of these shows, if you're not dropping them within like the first week of them coming out, when they're all dropped at once like that, you're not going to see much success always. It really depends on what your channel is, what you drop on a regular basis, but it's really hard to kind of succeed unless you're dropping like all of the 8 episodes in a span of a week. And I think that's where it really slows me down. Right. Again, screeners really do help. And I feel like, companies seeing some of us reactors as actual, as critics, it's made my life easier. I'll tell you that, being able to, cause I mean, I'm trying to help promote their content, and I'm giving my honest thoughts, but, to be able to post things the day it drops, instead of having to wake up at 3 a.m, get 8 episodes done, and I don't know, it's a whole headache, man. And I feel like all these reactors get it, especially a lot of these reactors have families, man, like they got kids. They're still managing to get this done, and it's impressive. It really is. I feel like a lot of people don't understand the work ethic you have to have in order to keep this up, because although it might be simple, it's super time consuming. It's super time consuming.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned you started like a new job and how that sort of needs to strike a balance with like the work for the channel. Do you have any sort of approaches or like, ways of avoiding that burnout, that easy burnout that everyone kind of like easily sort of stumble into?
It comes down to just watching things you're genuinely excited about. If you're
Mhm.
constantly forcing yourself solely for numbers, although numbers are good, but you got to be confident that you're watching something that you like. Like you're not going to be happy with the outcome if you're, getting out of a 9-10 hour shift to watch something you genuinely just don't give a crap about. Like
Right.
you're not going to be a happy camper, dude. Like you really just need to understand that you got time. Like you can just continue to do what you're doing with your work, go home and just watch something you're excited about, and then be able to talk. Doesn't matter if it's not 100,000 views. You got to start somewhere,
Yeah.
and you will see an increase as it goes on. But if you burn yourself out and you're seeing, even if you are seeing a little bit of an increase, but you're not happy while doing it, after a year, after a couple months, you're just gonna be done. You don't want it. You're not
Right.
gonna want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I've come to the conclusion of I've seen that happen to myself, and I've literally had to kind of like take like 3 steps back and realize, hey, like I gotta take it easy. It's not that serious. I'm just watching TV. I gotta take
Yeah.
it easy, and I found myself in a lot more of a happier place doing it this way.
Right. Right.
And yeah,
Yeah. And recently, I think one of the biggest changes that we've seen with the channel is, like you've mentioned, doing the collaborative videos for the reactions. Like you
hmm
said, there's such a difference in solo reactions and group reactions in terms of dynamic and energy. And I guess first I want to ask, have you did you take any lessons from group reactions in terms of the way you approached your solo reactions, over the years, just trying to maintain the energy and the show, like you said, the conversation between yourself and yourself on camera?
see I kind of did, but at the same time I didn't.
Mhm.
I just found myself always wanting to make sure that my ideas are fresh, and if I'm making a joke, it's relative. It's not something that's extremely corny or off topic.
Right.
I don't want to be talking about nonsense. So like when I'm watching group reactions, they're having discussions that relate to what's going on, or they kind of will go off on a tangent, but it's funny. It's really entertaining. So
Yeah.
I just found that like if I am going to speak, don't speak nonsense. Just kind of talk about what I'm thinking. But
Yeah.
sometimes what I'm thinking is just it's all over the place. But
Yeah.
I've just I see some of these group reactions. A lot of them are really good friends, so they're kind of unfiltered, but they're content. They're happy with what they're saying. They're not like forcing out jokes or forcing out things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm feeling a little more obligated to just be more clean, be more,
Hmm.
fluent. Don't force jokes, don't force conversations that aren't needed. Just kind of talk what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these group reactors, they do the same thing. They just say what's on their mind. They talk to their friend the way they usually would talk to their friend. So I try to be as real as I possibly can when it comes to making these reactions. But
Right.
again, it's a little difficult doing it by yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So how has the dynamic changed now that you have our good friend Sam from his
Yeah.
own brand JVS? I mean, Sam's such a
Yeah.
great person in the space. He's one of like the pioneers of sort of being a friend, in the space and someone that you can go to for advice or for help. I know he's reached out to so many people that I've known and sort of paved the way for like what I like to do in the space, which is to just help people out, just sort of keep an eye on things. Yeah. So now that he's part of the channel with you, I guess how's that
Mhm.
sort of helped?
So yeah, I was 100% gonna bring him up in this podcast because Sam has
Of
been
course.
my guy, man. He's truly helped me out with a lot, and it's been a blast to be able to kind of make videos with him on his channel, and then to be able to have him on my channel. Because you spoke of the Skybound reactions, and he was one of those faces that was like always in those videos,
Mhm.
So he was one of the OG reactors, So
Right.
to be able to kind of pull him out of retirement, as he says,
Yeah.
and get him to react to things with me,
Yeah.
it's been so fun, because again, he doesn't post reactions. He just does hardcore. He just does straight up reviews,
Hmm.
just honest hardcore reviews, and I admire that.
Yeah.
But to be able to work with him and his team, and to feel, I'm like a Team JVS part timer. It feels,
Right.
to be able to have him and his crew, agree to do reactions on my channel has just been a blast because it's made things so much easier as a creator, not having to talk to myself and to be able to just joke around with him and his buddies, and it's just been he's been awesome, man. I've truly appreciated him as a friend, as a creator, and it's been really, really fun to have him, part of my channel as well. It's something that I'm really happy that he agreed to, and it's been so much fun. It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot more content with him on the channel too, for sure.
That's great to hear. Because for myself, being such a aficionado in the space of like who's coming in and out, I know that Sam was like sort of pushed out of the reaction space because he had so many issues with like the copyright, obstacles, stuff like that. Like he was really into it, and like he came to me for several times for help on it, and it really felt like he just had like a big spotlight on him, in terms of like getting stuff out, which eventually made him sort of step away from it. So like you said, to have him come out of retirement in a sense to be on the channel was actually really exciting for me. It was as a fan of the space, it was a genuine exciting moment to see like an old face come back into the game and see him put the shoes back on or whatever.
Yeah, the last like month or two, I mean, all my reactions have been with Team JVS, so it's been really cool to have him there. We've reacted. We have like a whole bunch of videos that we've recorded too that I'm in the process of editing as well.
Nice.
And a lot of them I just can't wait for people to see. But he is a familiar face. I know him as an OG reactor, so to see him being comfortable enough to kind of have me, to be on my channel and just to be back in that reacting element that he knows so well. It's been really cool. It really has been, it's been because he's not posting them on his channel that much, but he's like, if you guys want to see me come out of my shell and be a reactor again, go check out BizzyBron. I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Was there a significant learning curve in terms of like setting that up though? Like because you guys are digital, you're away from each other in terms of like setting up the look and the design of how you wanted to sort of approach that.
Well, it's always like that because I've done some of these reactions before. I've done just conversations in the past like this, and it's been a little complicated. But then I've done reactions in the past. I've done one with, I don't know if you're familiar with White Noise Reacts, but I did one or two with him quite some time ago.
Right.
And then I was still trying to get to understand how to do it. And then Sam, he's familiar with watching these shows with a whole group. So we've been using StreamYard, and it's just it records like individual layers, so you're able to match it up and make it work. So it's just a matter, like right now, it's been great. The only thing that's bothering me is my organizational skills. So it's like how I want it to look on the screen. That's the only thing that's kind of slowing me down. Is like,
exactly,
does it look cool if they're minimized? Does it look cool if they're enlarged? Does it look cool if I'm minimized? It's just that's where the creative kind of sense really kicks in there. Because you're just trying to figure out what works for you or what works for people that are watching your content. You just want to make sure that everyone's content, and that's where it gets a little aggressive because you don't know what's going to make a viewer want to stay on the video for more than 10 seconds. Like it could be the image being a little too far to the left for them. They're like, oh no, now I don't want to focus. It's really hard. It's so complicated sometimes.
Yeah, it's those things. Yeah, it's those things that get you really in the weeds of it. Like especially when you're starting out, it's just like how where do I fit it? Like how does the color look? Like how like the framing fit like this? It's one of those things that I can get easily caught up with. Like take too long on it to get out because I'm like I got to make it perfect. But rather, it's as a lot of people have said on this podcast, it's better to just like at least try it, just put it out, figure it out along the way, because that way you're at least putting something out and you're getting you're cutting your teeth on it, so to speak, as time goes on. And so in a sense, though, when you finally had Sam on, now you have, like you said, a backlog of material to work with. Do you have any sort of new plans for the channel now that you have this new dynamic of people coming in to collaborate with you?
See, realistically, I don't want to switch up anything. I'm content with things I've been so stress-free with the things, with the way things have been. I do want to do more reviews, whether it means with more people or just with myself, but doing these reactions with more people, I'm happy with how it's been playing out so far. Some of my viewers, been a little vocal about it. A lot of people love them. Some people aren't a huge fan. At the end of the day, it's something I really like. So it's going to stick, you know. It's been something I've enjoyed to do. It's been making me feel a little, again, a lot stress-free because I have people that I can just genuinely just talk to and just nerd out about things instead of feeling like I have to constantly imagine that the person watching me is geeking out. You know, I know you guys are geeking out, but at the end of the day, you know, like I love having the actual interaction with someone in my ear being like, oh my God, like, did you see that? I'm like, no, I didn't see that, you know? So like, there's just a lot more conversations happening and it's just making things a lot more entertaining. Right. And when I geek out and when I'm screaming in the mic, you know, I'm pretty loud. I'm not, you know, so when I start yelling about things and knowing that they're yelling too, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not overreacting because they're freaking out too.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some reactions that you guys see in the future where you'll know what I'm saying. Like I, you know, am freaking out and then they start freaking out and then I feel more content that, you know, maybe I'm not overreacting and it's just so, it's fun. It's fun to have a group.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, having that stress-free environment is a win in itself, as I would say.
Yeah.
But over the time with your channel, to sort of start, you know, winding things down here, next question I always ask is, what has been the most consistent obstacle you faced over the years with the channel?
I'll say copyright has always been difficult, but a main thing is just, you know, finding the energy to edit, you know, like it's just you never know when a video is going to do well. When you're watching shows and say like the first 3 episodes did well, you know that the other episodes are going to do well, so you get a little more motivated to get things done, but it just all comes down to just being patient and just knowing that, you know, there is a lot of hard work behind this, you know. People that aren't like involved with this will look at you and they'll think it's not that serious. They don't take what you're doing seriously. And it's just, you know, it's a little, you know, hard to be motivated when people are just like, okay, you're just uploading clips of you reacting to stuff. That's not real content. And I'm like, all right, you know, that's fair. But you know, what am I gonna do? But then there's people like you, for an example, who are just, you know, supporting the hell out of us creators, letting us know that what we're doing is real, and providing resources, providing us a space to talk about things. And it's just it makes things, kind of weighs things, you know what I'm saying? Like it balances things out, and it's cool because you know, obviously you're gonna deal with, you know, just douchebags, but there's also gonna be people that are in your corner, and at the end of the day, you're gonna ride with the people that are in your corner.
Right, of course. And then similarly, how do you feel you've personally grown over the years with the channel?
So I feel like I'm more confident in myself. When I first started, I feel like I was always just really cautious with, oh, what if I say this on accident? What if I offend this person? What if I do this? But I think I've just come to the conclusion that, like, I'm going to make jokes that I feel comfortable with. I'm going to do things that I feel comfortable with. If people don't like, because I'm never going to go too far and say something that's not, you know. So at the end of the day, I needed to stop filtering myself and realize that, you know, like, this is just how things are going to be. You know, I'm going to make these jokes. I'm going to say what I want to say. And I feel more confident and more laid back and just more willing to just do what I want to do on my channel without feeling like, oh, I can't post this because this person's not going to like it. I'm just doing more that I want to do. And again, I think that's why it's helping with the longevity of this, because there was points like a year or two ago where I was ready to just drop the channel. But knowing that, like, you know, this is what I want to do, just doing things that I'm content with and that I genuinely just want to do it. It's making me more comfortable to do things. I don't know how to even explain it. It's just, it's helping me want to do this long term while I have a full-time job, you know, just to do this on the side for fun. And I don't know, I just feel like I've just been more comfortable as a creator because of my just understanding that this is how things are. Like, you know, people are going to get upset about certain things, but you can't control that. You know that there's going to be people that support you, and that's all you can really focus on. So I've been a little less, you know, aggressive when it comes to having someone chirping in the back of my head. You know, I got to realize this is how I'm doing things, and that's it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, having that understanding of that, you know, this is your outlet to express yourself and enjoy your time with it. It's such an important thing. I think a lot of people still struggle to sort of come to realize within themselves. The final question again is similarly, beyond any sort of financial or monetary value with the channel, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it?
It's the people watching. I mean, obviously the relationships that I've built with other creators have been great, but to be able to go to conventions for something that I'm not there to work, I'm there to just geek out and nerd out like everyone else, but to have people coming up to me like, yo, you're BizzyBron. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm BizzyBron. They're like, oh, can we get a photo with you? One guy at New York Comic Con literally had his kid take a photo of me with him, and I'm just like, oh, this is awesome, you know. And the last 2 or 3 years, people have noticed me a little more, and I've been stopped at my local mall. Like I'm like in Massachusetts, so like I'm just walking, doing what I'm doing, and someone's like, yo, I saw your Loki reaction earlier. I'm like, I don't know you, but that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like to know that these people aren't criticizing me, but they're just like, dude, what you're doing is awesome. You're entertaining me, you know? It's just, and even the comments I'm getting where people are like, yo, I've had such a shit day, and you know, you're, you know, and I'm just like, I'm just watching TV. I mean, it's not that, you know, I'm not trying to change your life. I'm just trying to like watch TV. And they're just like, bro, but you're like making me laugh when I need it. And I'm just like, that's really cool. I really appreciate that. So it's definitely the people that are watching. And to be able to say that I have fans is still something it feels weird to say that, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Embrace it for sure. I want to get into our final questionnaire here that we have for everyone on the show. The first question is, what is your favorite TV show of all time?
Oof. As you see, it's a little bit of everything. I mean, when it comes down to franchises, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I've made that clear. But at the same time, I'm a big fan of like The Walking Dead was one thing that really changed things for me.
Of course.
Like I said, I always played sports, but there was a point where I was playing football. I loved it. And then I broke my collarbone. So I wasn't able to play sports. I was just trapped in my room, just kind of figuring out what the next steps were. And I ended up binging everything that they had for The Walking Dead. I ended up binging the MCU, caught up on Game of Thrones. And that's where kind of like all this television thing this television stuff came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say what my favorite thing is due to the fact that I watched a little bit of everything at the same time. Because there was a point where I would have told you Arrow is my favorite show.
Right.
There was a point where, you know, for the first 3 seasons, I would have said The Flash was my favorite show.
Yeah.
And now I can't say that. So it's like, it's really hard. But I just love television as a whole. I'm a very optimistic and positive person. I try to be, at least. So it's really hard for me not to like something.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to like, what is my favorite thing? It's really hard to just say that. So I'm gonna put it out there as The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and One Piece. Those are my top 3.
Good. Yeah. That's
no
great.
specific order.
Yeah. This might be hopefully a little easier. What is your favorite film?
Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Kick-Ass, bro.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
That's my movie, man. I don't know what it was. I think it's just the idea of someone actually trying to be a superhero was just ridiculous to me.
Right.
And I truly did love that. Don't know what I enjoy Frequency. I think that's another slept on movie. Yeah. But I think Kick-Ass is gonna be the movie that I'm gonna constantly say is my favorite. It's by no means a masterpiece, but it hits at home with me more than any other film does. Yeah. So it's so funny. It's so great.
That's all you need. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Next question is, what stresses you out?
Shit, everything, bro. The editing, dude. Editing,
as we heard, which is a valid answer. Yeah.
I truly don't know. I mean, how to put it out there. It's just a matter of, for the longest time, it was just knowing what to post. Because I felt like, if these people aren't content with what I'm posting, then they're gonna unsubscribe. Right. And for the longest time, I let that eat at me, you know. And again, now I'm just a lot more content with what I'm doing and more confident. So it's just a matter of finding the time to edit, finding the time to do things on time, and worrying about posting things without having to worry about copyright.
Right.
because it just makes things a little difficult. Like you're putting all this time to editing something, and then you're like, okay, I can only post it at this time, but then I gotta leave immediately as it uploads. You
Yeah.
leave the house just to get an email saying, hey, about that, you're hit with copyright. And it's just, there's so many different factors, but it's just a matter of getting things out on time now, which is kind of a little difficult.
Yeah. The constant thorn, I think a lot of people have.
Yes.
What helps you relax?
Oof. So I think just being able to know that I got these viewers who are just leaving these positive remarks, knowing, oh, it doesn't matter if you were this late with dropping it, we're still watching your content. But realistically, it's just being able to find the time to just chill out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's come to the point where I'm watching television nonstop. I'm always recording myself watching television. So to be able to have a show that I can just watch without reacting to has been very calming, because TV was that getaway for me before I started reacting.
Yeah.
And now I can still, do that. Like I always have one show that I watch while I can just, I can just watch without reacting to it. And it's calming, I don't have to worry about like, oh shoot, like I need to put it on the camera. I need to do this. I need to do that. I can just chill out and just calm down.
Yeah. You got to have those freebies for yourself.
Mm-hmm, yes, sir.
What is a hobby or passion outside of film and TV that you have?
Like I said, I still try to be involved with sports if I can.
Mm-hmm.
So I watch a lot of I'm a UFC, NBA fan, NFL, like anything that I can just chill out with my boys and just hang out with, because a lot of them aren't really like film dudes. A lot of these people I've met before. I was huge with film and stuff. So now I just chill out with them, and I'm just every Saturday we're just watching a game or something. So I'm a big sports guy, but that's pretty much it. I work a lot. Like I work a lot. So when I'm not working, I'm just hanging out with friends, or I'm getting this done.
Yeah.
So, and it's been content to know that I'm not wasting my time, because there was a point where I feel like, especially during Corona, like I felt like I just had a lot of blank time where I was just sitting there doing nothing. But now I'm constantly feeling as though I'm being productive.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's really making me feel, good. Like,
I can relate to that,
like
for sure.
Yeah.
What fictional character do you relate to or just care deeply about?
Oof. I don't know who I specifically relate to, because that's kind of a difficult question. I don't know, man. That's gonna kill me. Now I'm gonna end up having an answer after this, but
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Do you just have a favorite fictional character, someone that one of your favorite shows or favorite characters?
Yeah, I really like Matt Murdock. I think he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
And then I'm a big fan of Jon Snow as well.
Yeah,
not the ending, but I'm really excited to see if we get more of that character.
Yeah.
Then of course my boy Luffy. The free spirit. But kick ass. He's the guy. So that's one thing those are 3 characters that I do enjoy.
Yeah. And a lot of them come back. I think all of them come back in some fashion, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
in some
great,
shape or form. What is your guilty pleasure, show or film?
Oof. Guilty pleasure. So I know I had an answer for this, and it's like kicking my ass that I can't remember. But one of them is for sure The Notebook.
Yeah.
The Notebook is just bro, call me what you want, but that movie is just too much, dog. I think I reacted to it for a Valentine's Day thing, and it really caught me off guard with how much I enjoyed it. I didn't expect to be as emotional as I was when it finished.
Right.
And it just comes down to like realizing it's okay to put your emotions out there on screen. I was kind of taught to not be a little baby and be like, oh yeah, like I can't cry on camera, people are looking at me.
Yeah.
But now I try to be a little more, vulnerable with that, because nobody's gonna. What's the worst thing that could happen? So that movie really got me. That movie got me, man. Guilty pleasure for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's I think one of the beautiful things about the space is it really does open up a lot of people to share their emotions very freely, which I appreciate. What show or film gave you your favorite reaction experience with the channel?
Oof, I swear I feel like it switches up all the time. One of them has to be Stranger Things, the running up the hill.
Of course.
And then there's one coming up. the show hasn't came out yet, but y'all will see that in a couple weeks. I really want to tell you, man.
Okay, yeah.
But it's
yeah.
like it's just, and that's the one thing that I'm really excited for. It's the fact that like I'm constantly still excited with what I'm doing. It's been so long since I've started this channel, and even where I'm at right now, I'm still content. I'm still happy. I'm still feeling like I'm making bangers, you know? I feel like the excitement that I'm giving off is still 100% real, so it just makes me even more excited to post more stuff. But I will say it's Invincible related.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. What show or film do you wish you could erase from your memory and react to again for the first time on camera?
Man. There's a lot of different factors in that, because I try to realistically look at like, oh, well, let's do good view wise. I really wish I could personally react to Harry Potter again. Like, I never reacted to it, but I watched that growing up and read the books. I really wish I could do that, you know, for the first time on camera.
Yeah.
Same thing with The Walking Dead. I would definitely react to The Walking Dead 100, you know, again and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I had an editor and they weren't charging me, I would 100% watch One Piece again. Like, little things like that, man.
The whole series, the whole animated series, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, it's art, bro, art. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But The Walking Dead is definitely, every time I watch it again, I get hit with the same emotion. Same thing with Game of Thrones, whether it's the music or what. It just reminds me like this is amazing. So that's definitely one of those things.
I've definitely been there. Especially, I just rewatched some of The Walking Dead like a month or so ago, and it's just one of those shows that like it kind of like really just snaps you back to where you were when you first watched it. Yeah.
How about you, man? What's a show that you would rewatch?
The show. It's hard to say. It's, again, you said there's so many factors into it in terms of like, you know, where
now
you
I'm putting
are.
You on a spot, dude.
Yeah. The one that kind of comes to mind is Arrival. I think Arrival is like one. I don't know if you've seen that, but like it's one of my favorite films. I saw that in theaters at a test screening, and just like all I knew about it was Denis Villeneuve's new film, and that's it. And so I was like, I saw Sicario, I loved it. I saw Prisoners, I loved it. So I'll go see it. And just like the overwhelming experience I had in that theater without knowing anything about that movie was just like, it was just like mind melting. Wow. So I would love to have experienced that again, say on camera. I think that would have like, I would have been very silent, because I would have just been like in awe and shock. But yeah, that'd be my pick though.
That sounds like a decent recommendation, man.
I would say, yeah, if you haven't seen it, definitely, I definitely love to see you react to that.
For sure.
And the final question here is, what advice would you give to your past self if you can go back in time when you first started the channel?
Just be patient. Like, take your time. Obviously, it's gonna take a lot of patience to get stuff done, but it's gonna work out, you know. To be more confident, because I feel like I never would talk about this to people like in real life. I've never shared any of this information like about me having a channel or anything until I would like become friends with them, of course. But I just feel like I just need to embrace it a little more, because the more confident you are on the outside, the more confident you can be when you're in front of a camera.
Right.
And yeah, so like that.
Fantastic advice. Bizzy, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. It's
I appreciate
a great time, as I anticipated. Where can we find you online, social media, YouTube, otherwise?
You could find me at BizzyBron everywhere, Bizzy Reactions on Instagram, and then I've been uploading a lot of reviews on Team JVS, so go check me out over there. And I'm just really excited to just continue what I'm doing. You know, this has been something that I've enjoyed doing for a while, and I hope to see myself doing this for years down the road. So, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic, man. I'm looking forward to it. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you find this on the Passionfruit newsletter, please share that as well. We appreciate any numbers on that. We will catch you on the next episode.